From an automatic weapon to a flying machine, here in Top Shockers we show you the top 5 greatest inventions of Leonardo da Vinci. Number 5. The parachute. Forever fascinated by the possibility of flight, Da Vinci spent much of his time thinking up ways to get mankind in the air, and perhaps more importantly, how to get them back down safely. Eventually he came up with the first ever parachute, a wooden pyramid structure draped with a piece of cloth that would slow down a person's terminal velocity as they fell to earth. As Da Vinci himself wrote, it allowed man to throw himself down from any great height without suffering any injury. Number 4. Diving suit. A razor-sharp mind might be a nation's best national defence mechanism, so it should come as no surprise that Da Vinci was employed by the military to find ways of increasing its chances in warfare. Originally designed as a way of warding off invading ships, Da Vinci's diving suit would allow men to engage in a little underwater sabotage by cutting holes in the bottom of the enemy's hull. Unfortunately, the design, complete with breathing hose and glass goggles, wasn't needed at the time and would only find itself submerged in planning stages. Number 3. The helicopter. In 1939, Igor Sikorsky designed and flew the Vought Sikorsky VS-300, the first viable American helicopter, which pioneered the rotor configuration used by most helicopters today. But in 1493, 446 years before Igor, Leonardo da Vinci conceived the helical aerial screw. It consisted of a spinning linen screw designed to compress air to induce flight, a mechanism similar to that employed in contemporary helicopters. Leonardo's design is widely credited as the vertical flight machine. Number 2. Flying machine. For those of you who have spent a good amount of time clocking up hours on Assassin's Creed, you might recognise this next astounding invention. The flying machine, otherwise known as the ornithopter, took its inspiration from bats and birds. Da Vinci designed a machine where the pilot lay down in the centre and pedalled a crank, connected to a rod and pulley system to get the machine moving. Once in the air, the wings were designed to flap, much like a bird's. Sadly, the necessary tools to bring the apparatus into flight were not available at the time, and the machine's flying days were spent less like a falcon and more like an ostrich. Number 1. The Robotic Knight. While there are dozens of Da Vinci's inventions that never saw the light of day in the 15th century, it is his Robotic Knight that would have been truly terrifying. The first humanoid robot. Da Vinci drafted this gear, wheel and cable-filled giant for a pageant in Milan. According to Da Vinci's drawings, some of which have never been recovered, the robot could sit, move its head and even lift its visor on its own. Intent on finally bringing one of Da Vinci's lost robots to life, Minnesota-based Mark Rosheim spent a whopping 5 years poring over Da Vinci's manuscripts and ultimately recreated his futuristic vision. The final product, complete in 2002, was able to walk and wave. Rosheim used this as inspiration for his robotic designs for NASA, demonstrating the timeless nature of truly innovative design. Leonardo da Vinci may well have been the greatest inventor during the Renaissance. However, he had very little effect on the technology of his time. Da Vinci drew sketches and diagrams of his inventions, which he preserved in his notebooks, but he either neglected building them or was unable to convince his wealthy patrons to finance construction of the designs, although many of them could not have been built with the technology of the day. As a result, almost none of Da Vinci's inventions were built during his lifetime, and because he never published his diagrams, little was known about them until his notebooks were discovered after his death. His inventions have continued to inspire engineers and scientists to this day.